There is no death. There is only life. Chapter 6. Other thoughts from the Gospels. We just heard some words from people who have been there about the brilliance and the light of being a part of this wholeness which people throughout history have called God. We're a part of it. This is not something outside our faith tradition. You may not often hear it, but this is part of the faith tradition, particularly of Christians. It fits into every religion, but particularly is it the message of Jesus. So listen to some of these things that Jesus said, and listen to them in translations from the Aramaic, because remember that the Gospels were written in Greek so that they could be sent around all the known world around the Mediterranean, all of which spoke Greek. And they were not written in Aramaic, which was the spoken language of Jesus and the people of his time. And Aramaic was a vastly different language. It was not cut and dried. You couldn't say this word means that, this word means that. You'd have to say this word could mean hundreds of things at different times. So that Jesus, when saying this, 100 people might hear 100 different things. If he said the same thing later, he might be meaning something different. And another 100 people could hear another 100 somethings that he said, all of which were valid and true. And so this language, this Aramaic, is filled with nuance, filled with poetry, filled with meaning beyond what the Romance languages have in them. And that means that there's really no true translation. There can only be valid renderings of those speeches. So listen to these gospel quotes in this new light. This is Jesus speaking. The first is from the Gospel of John, chapter 6, verses 38 to 40. My life spirit has come into this material plane, not that I should accumulate possessions and the accolades of others, but that I should be a clear reflection for my sisters and brothers of the magnificence of God that lies within me and within all of us. The brilliance of God is the source of all existence, and the preference of this loving being is that God's brilliance should be evident in my life now without being diminished by the secondary things that many people seek in their confusion. This illumination that you see in me is the same illumination that all people will see in themselves and in all creation when this universe blossoms into its own innate fullness. For this is the blessing of God to you now, that as you take to yourself what you see in me, you move ever more close to the wholeness of who you are, to your own participation in God's own self. And then from the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verses 31 to 32. If you persevere in living in this light of God's pervasive presence, as I have taught you and shown you, you will carry my life forward within you. In this is wisdom perceived, and in this wisdom you are free. Those are the words of Jesus. And then in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verses 27 to 28, probably the most loved parable. Consider the lilies of the field. They grow abundantly everywhere, and yet they do not work or struggle for their existence. Even Solomon, a most bedecked and bejeweled king, was not as magnificently adorned as one of these simple flowers. If God is so abundantly generous even to plants which are alive today and raked up and thrown away tomorrow, how much more does God throw your way at every moment of your eternal existence? Don't these things help to make us feel good about your loved one? That she exists today, that the purpose of this universe is so that she can experience who she is? This is what Jesus told us. This is what all the wisdom of the ages has passed down to us, sometimes camouflaged. And this is what science confirms, and what people who have stepped into the other life and no longer are afraid to talk about it come back and confirm. It's not some wayward, bizarre thought. It is confirmed in everything we know and understand if we just stop, listen, and let it penetrate into us. Here's a reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 37 to 40. Your inevitable destiny is to love God with all your heart, with all your spirit, and with all your mind. This is the most profound universal law which gently but persistently tugs at you every moment of your existence. The next most important universal law is like the first. Your purpose and your salvation in this physical life is to love the people you come into contact with as much as you love yourself. This is the sum of what it's all about. Everything is secondary to these two purposes. Listen to that again. Your purpose and your salvation in this physical life is to love the people you come into contact with as much as you love yourself. This is the sum of what it is about. Everything is secondary to these two purposes.